Good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode number 23 of The Edge. I'm your host, Sean Clark, otherwise known as Valise, around Azeroth. Coming up on tonight's episode, we'll be talking about our impressions of the first few dungeons that are available in the alpha, which I have no idea about because, well, they don't seem to work for me. Every time I get in them, they crash. These guys know what they're talking about. We're going to be talking about the old Rob Pardo unexpected departure from Blizzard, which really sucks. Where is he gonna go? What's his next move? I'm gonna try to break that down for you and think what makes sense in his world. But first, as always, we're gonna bring in the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Matt Lowe. What's up, Matt?
I'm so disappointed with Rob Pardo leaving. Like, I was just choked. Like, there were tears.
It's really bad.
There were buckets of ice cream that have been demolished because I was so upset.
It's been bad.
But, you know, we'll discuss that later. As for me this week, a whole lot of nothing considering it's a holiday week. My guild consists of half Canadians and half Americans. So on Tuesday it was Canada Day, and on Thursday it was the day before Independence Day. So a lot of people were traveling.
America.
Short, yeah, I know, right? It was a short raid week, and yeah, that's it for me.
Cool.
What about you?
Well, you had noticed there's someone else here.
I did, yeah. Where'd he come from? That's a new fellow down there.
For anyone listening to MP3, you probably can't see this, so you don't know. There's actually someone else here with us. We actually have a third guest host for the week. Let's give a friendly hello to Will. What's up, Will?
Hello.
Hey, guys. Happy to be hanging out here with you guys on The Edge. A little intro. Audience may know me from Get a Raid series of raid guides. Started doing them back in Siege of Orgrimmar, PTR, all that fun stuff, which seems like so freaking long ago.
Nice.
I don't know, when was PTR? Was that like
What is a PTR?
last summer?
Yeah.
Anywho, those guides and current Siege raiding guides ended up being on Tank Spot, so you may have seen me on Tank Spot and stuff. And currently I main a Hunter and a Paladin, and the Hunter's become my main in the late bit of this expansion. And I'm pretty much a raid fanatic, sometimes raiding like 20 hours a week. And yeah,
wow.
Quite a bit there.
20 hours.
20 hours. Cut that down now. I'm down to like 7.5 or so. But
Yeah, it's hard to raid that much now.
Yeah. It was ridiculous. But pretty much enjoy most aspects of WoW, PvE-wise, challenge modes, raiding, and yes, I do occasionally like to do some daily quests. I know. But yeah, that's me, and happy to be here.
Cool, man. Well, welcome.
Thanks.
What have you been doing this past week? Anything special in the game?
A lot of beta. Just a lot of hopping on the beta, and
Cool.
we'll obviously talk more later about the dungeons and all that kind of stuff.
Right
but,
on.
Really close on my Hunter. We are like this close. I don't know if you can see this. I know this is the video part, but right there, can you see any piece of closeness between my two fingers? That's how close we are to Heroic Garrosh. So
Oh, that's very close.
right there, or phase 4, all that other fun stuff, and hoping that happens this week. Really hoping.
Cool.
But yeah, that's been my week, beta and raiding and all that other fun jazz.
Awesome. Well, I have not been doing anything in terms of gaming, at least not that much. I'm getting ready to move. I think I've said this last week. 2 weeks from now, on the 22nd, we will not be having a show because I will be moving. I'm going to be getting a bigger place. I'm going to have a dedicated office just for the podcast, for the room, for all that stuff. So that's really cool. I'm really super excited about that. But in turn, that has made it so I've been working a crazy amount of hours. I've been trying to save as much money as I can to get everything ready. They have like fiber optics and all these things ready for me when I move in. Yep, I know. Don't get that surprised look off your face. Yeah, it's happening. And so I'm getting ready. That's what I've been doing. I've been playing a little bit of Hearthstone, a little bit of WoW. I was actually hanging out with my buddy the other day. I hadn't talked to him in a while on Skype, and we were just sitting there fishing for no reason. Just hanging out. Like, two buddies would hang out like in a room. Yeah, we're like fishing,
Were you even like doing achievements or something? Or
No, we're just fishing.
Oh,
Just leveling, because you can like level any profession in Pandaria now. You can start right from 1, so we're just hanging out on some alts, just doing the old fish. Well, it's actually our guild that we created on Cultura, so there was a point, like, he was doing the professions, like maxed out all the professions for the achievement for the guild. So there's actually a reason, but I was just fishing along with him just because I was.
This is a look of bewilderment. This is what it looks like. It's like the confused surprise. Are
You know
kidding?
that Blizzard, the World of Warcraft is definitely getting a little boring to me when I'm fishing, and that's
When you're
it.
fishing, yeah. There's
Okay,
nothing wrong with fishing.
I went
You're
did
wrong.
some fishing today. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, see, I can understand doing it for achievements. I did the whole salty stuff and got the iron jaw and all that other stuff
Oh, yeah.
where you just have to be fishing forever. But man, just fishing for fishing, I don't know. I agree.
I know. That's what I did. That's what I've been doing. But it's one of those things where I was gonna do some. I was thinking about doing some rated battlegrounds and just getting back into that a little bit. I was in it quite a bit in Wrath and like towards the later part of Wrath when the rating started to die down. But I had, like I said, I've just been so busy. I just haven't had time to commit. And fishing was one of those things where I was like, well, I'll just sit here and fish for a little while, and when I got stuff coming up, I can just go do it. So kind of worked out. Anyways,
Speaking of committing and
speaking
not
of,
having time,
speaking of commitment, Rob Pardo is now officially gone from Blizzard. The man who created many of our systems in the games that we love is now no longer employed by our company that we so much love. But a little bit of background on Rob Pardo. A lot of people know who he is, but they don't know maybe what he has done. He was the chief creative officer at Blizzard Entertainment at the time of his departure, which was on July 3rd when he made that post. He was previously the executive vice president of game design at Blizzard, and prior to that, he was the lead designer on World of Warcraft.
so he's the guy that preceded Ghostcrawler, basically.
That's right.
Yeah.
He also originally was hired on to work on StarCraft and had a huge hand in a little game you might have heard called Brood War.
Nope, never heard of it.
And if you've never heard of Brood War, then that's kind of crazy. And actually, a fun little fact about Rob Pardo. In 2006, he was actually named by Time Magazine as one of the top 100 most influential people in the world.
Wow.
That's a pretty big deal. So this guy, with that being said, this guy obviously is a huge positive investment for any other game company out there. So the burning question right now is going around the internet is, okay, well, where would he go? So I started digging around a little bit and figuring some stuff out. And I was looking around the internet and checking financials and checking all these crazy things. And,
All
I
right,
would
Private Eye Sean, what you got for us?
yeah, well, I would assume that Pardo will go probably somewhere where he feels he can contribute the most based on his passion and his experience with game design. We know from his farewell post that he still considers the RTS genre his passion. Warcraft, the original, like Warcraft 2, the real-time strategy games, is what attracted him to Blizzard ultimately in the first place. Unfortunately for him, real-time strategy games aren't all the jazz and glam that they used to be. Warcraft 2 and 3 obviously were amazing games, as well as StarCraft and StarCraft 2, but those games, well, they either grew too old, or they were eclipsed by other games entirely. So that brings me to my first point. How about Dota? And why shouldn't it? I mean, Dota, it was created using Warcraft 3 Frozen Throne, custom game map, right? And since then it's grown to be one of the largest esports in the industry.
Yeah, the international's going on right now.
The international is going on right now. And that's a huge, huge thing.
10
I mean,
million something.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, who would have thought ever for a game that was created by using a custom map in Warcraft 3? Okay, so this is huge. But does Valve really sound like a good fit for Pardo? I would say absolutely no. With Dota being completely run by IceFrog, it's highly unlikely that Pardo would be able to, join up with Valve since he won't be creating as much content for them. I mean, that's what he likes to do. He was a, lead game designer. He's a creative, a chief creative officer. He was a creator. It's what he does. The only way I see him joining Valve is if he were to be given his own department and given a chance to design his own game. But with that being said, can Valve even afford someone like Rob Pardo? Rob
This is
Pardo,
Valve.
yeah.
This is Valve. Valve can.
Yeah.
But that's the can they? I'm sure they can.
Do you know how much money they make selling hats?
Yeah, they make a lot.
Right?
For sure.
Just selling hats.
But I mean, that's the thing is maybe they can, maybe they can't. I mean, because maybe they don't want to commit that kind of money to someone like Rob Pardo. Okay, but I know that there's one company that can, and they could, and they very may will, and that company is Riot. League of Legends, again, is so insanely popular. It's really hard to wrap your head around. It's sure. I mean, again, League of Legends, it's not real-time strategy, but neither is Dota. Riot does have the upper hand, though, over Valve when it comes to sniping Pardo. Honestly, it has more money, and it has more creative design. And those are two things that Rob Pardo is going to be looking for at this stage in his career. Unlike Valve, the league's game design isn't up to a single person. It's more of a group-oriented setting, which is what Rob Pardo is used to working in. And then there's the money side of things. Riot certainly has the money to pay for Pardo, and certainly pay him what he deserves based on his experiences and his triumphs at Blizzard. Not a lot of companies out there have as much money as Riot, so it's really interesting to see where he goes from here. So I guess the question is money the deciding factor? Or does Pardo really want more just creative room to work? I mean, only really he knows that answer for sure, but whoever he chooses, I'm sure there's a reason for it. And all we can say at this point is thank you. Thank you for the years of dedication and great games. Replacing you at Blizzard is an impossible feat, and your lack of presence will certainly be felt. So we here at BlizzPro want to wish you the best of luck and all your future endeavors. Rip in pieces, Rob Pardo, 1997 to 2014. I'm sad.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's tears. It's tears.
Yeah.
I got the feels music going on and everything. So many feels right now. But no, it is a big deal.
So, are we gonna throw out some guesses on where he might end up?
Well, I mean, like I said, I think Riot would be a good fit. Valve also might be a good fit if he gets his own team, his own game design.
I'm going to disagree with all of your points.
Okay.
And I want to pick two options. A, he goes for retirement.
Sure.
Probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
Or B, he goes with Bungie and works on Destiny.
Could.
Ooh,
Could.
interesting.
Yeah.
I would totally say the retirement angle. Given his farewell message, it seemed like he's at a stage and he wants to move on to a stage. Is that stage going to be retirement and I'm going to stage in my life, or is that going to be stage in my career, going elsewhere and doing other things, you know?
Maybe he'll want to kickstart
kind
one
of
of the
feel.
projects or something too.
Sure, sure.
And that's the thing. I mean, only he knows. I can tell you for sure. I mean, you guys know this from work. We are the working class. We are certainly no rich people that sit around and play video games all day, even though that would be the dream. That you will definitely, certainly not take or leave a job that pays you as much as they get paid. At least he got paid with profit sharing, stock options with Activision and Blizzard, and not to mention the number of years he's been with the company. So he's definitely a senior guy on upper level management. There's absolutely zero reason you would leave that job unless there wasn't something else that piqued your interest.
One of the guys on the stream mentioned the Civ series, Civilization, Sid Meier's stuff. That's actually not a bad idea.
Yeah, I mean that could be it too. I mean, again, he wants to get back into real-time strategy. I mean, maybe he thinks at this point, like, hey, guess what? I have enough money. I don't really care. You know, I'm gonna go. Now? It's the thing. It's more of a thing of I want to go and do my passion. I want to go, and it's like an old person, you know, when they retire, they're just like, oh, you know, I want to go make pottery stuff. You know, I don't know. It could be the same kind of idea, though. Maybe he wants to go right back to his roots, go back to his passion, and he feels it's time. But we don't know. All we can do is speculate, and I took it from more of a, you know, like a next step, you know, logically, okay, this is his area, this is his finances, this is, you know, maybe based off his experience and passion, his next step sort of thing. But I never even thought of, like, the Civ stuff. That's actually a really good point.
It's an interesting angle.
So, but, so there you go. So there's Rob Pardo's bit. There's, we'll obviously keep everyone posted as soon as we figure out where he's going to be headed. I'm sure once that is put out on the internet, everyone and their mom will know that is following anything to do with Blizzard games. So, and we will be covering it SL.
What
Going.
do we think? Go ahead.
What's that? What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, what do you think his effect on leaving Blizzard will be? I mean, that's another.
I think
piece of
it's.
it all.
I think it's huge. I don't.
Yeah.
You can't replace him. You just
Oh,
can't.
he's trained a lot of good designers and stuff, though. So I'm sure they've got some excellent, you know, successors and, you know, his apprentices, I suppose.
Mhm.
Right?
Sure. I mean, it's the same thing with Ghostcrawler leaving. You know, do we feel like the game is? Everyone's like, oh, Ghostcrawler, hey, he left. Now the game's ruined, and that kind of thing.
Which is weird.
But it seems like
because they're like, Ghostcrawler was here. He ruined the game too. Like,
yeah,
you can't win.
exactly, totally.
It is an
But,
interesting point. Yeah.
how would they continue on? I mean, certainly they're going to continue on. Obviously, they're going to keep doing stuff, but
well,
how bad or good?
I think that a lot of the people that are coming up into the Blizzard ranks are highly, highly talented and highly motivated individuals. When Ghostcrawler left, he was replaced by, or Celestalon was the guy who stepped up and took his place.
And Holinka for the
and Holinka, and they have done nothing but be transparent and
Watcher.
And Watcher as well.
So 3 people doing one guy's job.
But to be fair, they have been a lot more engaging and transparent than Ghostcrawler was, at least in my opinion. So I've seen them on multiple podcasts, making multiple posts on the forums, just constantly being in touch with people, constantly being transparent, constantly taking the opinions and criticisms of the Warcraft community and dealing with it in a way where they're trying to make sense out of the compliments and complaints, or even trying to say, hey, this is our direction, in this next build, this is what we're going to do, what do you think? We love their feedback. So it's one of those where maybe it is time. Maybe he felt like it's the stars kind of burned out, he did what he was supposed to do, and now it's time to go. So it's I think that for someone like me, anyways, I know that some people start playing later in the game, but I always feel like, nostalgia is my favorite part of Blizzard games at this point. I love the back when and back then and back in the day when all my friends were in this huge group, or the first time we downed this boss in a raid. I mean, so maybe he wants to provide that to the gaming community again, just in another format and under a different title. So there's definitely nothing wrong with that. Speaking of changes, though, and things that are going to be being released into Warlords, the Alpha Dungeons. I know that you guys have had some time to dig in. The only time I've been in the dungeon where it was stable enough, where I wasn't losing my shit, was at BlizzCon. I did one of the Horde released dungeon, which was, I don't even remember which one it was now.
Or the Blood Maul.
Blood Maul, is that what it was? It's been so long since BlizzCon. That's the only one I've done. That's it. I can't do them because Blizzard just says no. So, what do you guys take on them? Like, what's the impression? What do you think?
So for my case, I healed all 3 of them. I only successfully completed Blood Maul Slag Mines. I had a rough time going into Ubers and a rough time with the Burial Grounds. There's a bug going on right now that you may or may not know about. There's a situation where if a player drops out of the group and you attempt to queue again, you're not actually thrown back into the queue. No one can join your instance. So that means completing an instance does get a little difficult in the event someone happens to check out. So
but, I mean, it's a good thing you don't get randomly DC'd.
Yeah, well, that's that is one issue there. Well, with the DC too, if someone else gets DC'd, they're out of luck, right? There's no way they can come back in. So, right. But I managed to go in there with the guild tank and a couple of our other players, and the slag mines I felt was fairly easy, fairly straightforward. All of our gear got scaled down to eye level 500, so it's perfect for players that have just used the 90 boost and are using the starter gear. Like, they can just jump right in there and they're not going to get too terribly beat up. There's a very memorable fight in there, that 3rd guy. He's a giant fire dude. He's got abilities reminiscent of the old Zol. That Zol grub ramp where there's like boulders that come right down at you.
Oh, yeah.
One little boss, I think it's the spider boss with rocks.
Yeah, I get you, yeah.
And you're fighting on a bridge. And the dude's just hucking boulders at you the whole time. So you got to make sure you don't get hit by them. Otherwise you go flying off the bridge or whatever. So that's probably
don't lag. Don't lag on that fight.
Yeah, don't lag.
I can't wait for those excuses.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw the worst lag spike with my cable, my 50 up and my 50 down and 5 up.
I did in that dungeon, in that specific dungeon right there. I'm like, I didn't get hit by that. And they're all like, yeah, whatever.
My roommates are torn.
The hitbox was larger than the graphic, right?
Yeah. I'll blame that too.
So, Will, what did you think about Blood Maul? Like, did you bring your hunter in there, or?
Yeah, so I've been mostly doing the hunter for all of my beta stuff, and Blood Maul I think was the easiest, and I didn't get the chance to copy over a character, so it was a level 90. It had the level 500 gear, all that kind of stuff. But we had someone who was able to copy over their heroic warforged warrior, and he was just tearing stuff up.
Oh wow.
and it seemed like we were just going through it pretty quick, and I didn't see any like, oh wow, that was really tough or whatever, that kind of stuff. So yeah, I agree. It was being pretty on the easy side, which probably this it's supposed to be normal mode. It's probably okay.
Yeah, it did feel a little easier. It was the normal mode, and it's supposed to be meant for 90s. The other ones, however, when I ran Shadow Moon Burial Grounds and Upper Blackrock Spire, or more known by its more catchy moniker, Ubers, I think everyone was scaled up to level 100, and all of our gear scaled up to high level 600 as well. So it looks like they're testing
Yep.
the max level stuff. Now, I don't know about you, but Shadow Moon Burial Grounds, that first guy I fought, that guy was tough as nails. I don't know about you,
Yes.
but I was struggling just trying to heal that because there's all sorts of stuff exploding, and you got to move out of beams, and they will kill you in one shot if you stand in the wrong place. And like, I think we must have burned a good 45 minutes on that one fight before we just said, "I give up. We can't do this anymore." So,
Yep.
what was your experience like?
Totally. Totally. That first guy was, and they even, I guess to explain a little bit more, there's an ad that comes down. If you don't
Right.
kill that before it gets there, the boss heals like 20% or something ridiculous and gains like a permanent 20% buff to damage, so it just makes
Yeah.
it even that much harder for failing. And the original part of the dungeon when I did it in alpha, that ad just had a ridiculous amount of health. You just couldn't do it. People were talking about like bloodlusting just to kill that ad.
Mad. Yeah.
And they nerfed it, so the current version is okay, but still you have to have your group like coordinated and slows and just on that thing, or else forget it. You're done.
Everybody
Just
had to hit it.
forget it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a rough one.
So,
So I couldn't get
yeah.
past that guy at all. So, but I like the location of the place. We had to use some CC in all of our trash pulls. I found that it's a nice. I think it's a nice middle
Mhm.
ground between Cataclysm, where it was super CC heavy, to Miss, where we could just run over everything that was in our way, right? But what about Ubers? I managed to get to. I want to say General Dracasath's old room on that bridge. We were fighting that one Drake, and you're on a bridge. I don't know what it is with Blizzard, but now we're having all these bridge encounters, and you're fighting
Yeah.
there. You're on a narrow platform, and the Drake just does like strafing runs from side to side periodically. So you got to make sure you're on, that you don't get blown off or whatever. But I think the instance is nice. It uses basically the same look as the current Ubers, but obviously it's been updated with some new bosses and some new models and that sort of thing. You do get to fight a relative of the Beast. I believe it was Beast Junior. No major
Yep.
spoilers because come on, let's be real. You've already killed the Beast. He's got a little mini Beast offspring lying around, so it's inevitable that we challenge one of those guys. But I think it was so on the difficulty scale. I think Ubers was about right where the difficulty should be for a dungeon. It wasn't as crazy easy as Blood Maul, but it wasn't as impossible as Shadow Moon. So, what about you, Will? Did you give Ubers a shot?
Yeah, I got Ubers and did get all the way through to the last fight, and that one was pretty fun. I do agree with the I think it's Rage Wing the Untamed is the name of the
That's
dragon
the
on the bridge.
That's the
Yeah,
guy.
that one was really fun just because, hey, here's a boss all of a sudden on a bridge, and there's some pretty tight mechanics here. If you're caught in the wrong place, I mean that breath almost one shots you, and you get disoriented for like 3 or 4 seconds or something. So like you are probably going to die. um, so that was fun, and then the last boss itself, that had sort of it was a really long fight and not too interesting mechanics, but there was a lot of pieces to it. It was like do this, watch out for this, don't get knocked off, and in fact, funny story there. I was on my hunter as I said, as I have been for these, and I still had the glyph of disengage, which makes you go really far back.
Yeah,
And the
yeah.
boss at one point like fixates on you, so I'm like, oh shoot, I gotta get out of the way, disengage, boom, I'm off the platform just staring at lava. It's just like,
Yeah.
oh man. And I'm streaming and I'm like, sorry
Oops.
guys, here's some lava. Yeah. But yeah, I liked the overall feel of it too. The trash packs, there was again some things that you could do, CC, whatnot. And if you got too happy about pulling, you were going to be in trouble
Yeah.
if you did too much. So, yeah, I liked it. It was sort of like in that middle ground of this feels good. So yeah.
So you feel like they need some work on the tuning or what?
Yeah, big time. At
Yeah,
least for Shadow.
well, yeah, Shadow Moon for sure. I actually got to the second boss in Shadow Moon, just barely. We killed the first boss and got to the second one. That one's ridiculous too. The There's some void zones. Again, I won't spoil it all, but there's some void zones, and they were hitting like for half your health, and it wasn't just, oh, don't stand in the void zone that's over here. It was, I'm spewing void zones everywhere, and here's
Good
one
luck.
that lands in front of you. Good luck getting out
Yeah.
of that in less than a second. Oh, sorry, you're all dead. So
This is
yeah,
what
it was
Cliff
way
coming.
off.
I'm glad that Blizzard has made it like that, though. I mean, I know from a healing perspective, everyone's been really skeptical about the removal of a lot of smart healing and a removal of the yeah, I know you're angry. I know the empty to full. But I like this. I think you're gonna be put to the test now, Matt. There's
Okay,
no more
we're
of
gonna be
that.
talking about healing for like 5 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna give you 5 minutes to help me. Okay, so I'm healing all through these instances. You know what the common denominator on all these things are? I can't heal people back to full health for the life of me when we're in combat anymore.
Yeah, that's the
You
point.
know how
That's how
scary
you're
it is
supposed
to
to
me?
be.
I'm watching all you guys. You guys are at half health or 30% or 60% or whatever. There is no full health. And I'm like, okay, I can't keep you guys at full. Shoot, the best thing I can do is make sure you guys don't die.
Yeah.
So now I can't guarantee your survival anymore. Now you really have to be on the ball and dodge those void zones. You got to dodge the meteors. You got to dodge all the spell effects. You got to do the interrupts. Because if you don't, there is literally nothing I can do. And this has nothing to do with my mana pool. You know what, they changed the spirit and all that stuff. Like,
Yeah.
so our mana regen, it's a little higher now since it took away the whole active mana regen crap that we were supposed to be using. We don't have those tools. My Shadow Theme does nothing anymore. I have no Hymn of Hope. My that mana potion thing, the potion of focus or whatever, it gives me 5,000 mana back over 10 seconds. My mana pool is 160 grand. What the hell am I to do with 5,000 mana?
So salty.
Oh,
So
I am.
salty.
I'm not. No,
I
I'm
know.
not salty. I'm not bitter. I am not bitter at all. Okay, I'm just saying that in an
Salty.
environment like this, us healers, we gotta have like thick skin and like be mentally tough because there's gonna be people out there. I'm not gonna give names, but like there's gonna be some tanks and some other DPS players that are gonna be like, "Yo, healer, you gotta be healing, man." And I'm on beta and I'm looking at this dude huffing and puffing with like no mana left, and I'm like, are you serious right now? Like, are you kidding me? Like, I am busting my balls trying to keep everyone alive. So, yeah, in that sense, it's kind of like Cataclysm, where people are frantic. And my greatest fear is that healing changes so much to a degree that many healers out there are going to get frustrated with how things are going. And they'll be like, you know what? Screw this. I'm done with the game. I'm going to go play like Hello Kitty Online or
Yeah.
some other game or whatever and
Healers-
just not come back.
Healers are going to be in high demand. That's
Yeah,
for
they're
sure.
going to be in so high demand because the ones that can cut it are going to stay, but the ones that can't, they can't face roll anymore. They can't spam a couple buttons and AFK watch like soccer while smite spamming. They can't do that anymore. It doesn't work. So they got to pay attention now.
Yeah.
Oh.
Good luck with
You
that.
you need to tell that tank if they're messing with you, hey, learn how to resolve and get your shields up and everything, and I won't
Right?
have to
Like,
heal you. Bam, there you
you
go.
gotta burn your cooldowns. You gotta hit your, whatever your shield block thing every couple seconds. Because guess what? I can't bail you out anymore. I've lost like my void shift. I've lost all these other spells. Like, dude, and don't even get me started about disc freeze because I can't heal and move anymore. God, I have to like
Yeah, everything's
run,
cast. Yeah.
heal.
Yep.
Tank runs ahead, pulls more ads. And I'm busy trying to top up the rest of the group, and I'm too far behind, and I'm out of the tank's range. And I'm like, dude, you gotta slow down, man.
I was watching Swifty stream,
Ah.
and he was doing when they first released the level 100 PvP servers, and he was playing a Boom King because he heard that they were like the thing, the flavor of the week or the flavor of the
Yeah.
day for the way the beta goes. And he was playing. He's played Boomkin before, so he's kind of comfortable with everything. He's in the arena, he's doing his thing, and every time he hits Star Surge, he'd go to move because it was instacast before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he hits Star Surge, and then you see the cast bar, and he moves. He's like, "Damn!" He's like, "I forget."
Getting interrupted.
You know, he's just constantly interrupting himself because he just forgets it's a cast now. And he's like, "Man, this feels so
Hate
so
that.
awkward. It doesn't." you know, it doesn't feel natural anymore. It was really funny to watch that. So.
Like, I sympathize with, like, because many of my healing spells used to be instant, but now it's like I have to wait 1.5 seconds and then I gotta move. That means I gotta stand there and eat the meteor that's coming at me, otherwise the tank dies or whatever. So it's a trade-off of damage and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, you're scared
I'm
now.
not salty though.
You're salty. No, you're salty. I don't care. You're salty.
A little.
Whatsoever.
Slightly.
It's 2-on-1 now. You're salty.
Right.
Dude, that bag of Pringles has more salt than I do. Okay?
No, you're salty. Cool.
Anyway, that's my rant.
So, now I gotta get in there because now I'm all jealous that I can't get in there and have a stable enough connection where I can actually get through these. But I'm gonna get in there and check them out now. They seem like a lot of fun, and I think people are just getting too used to Mist, where they're just like, it's a dungeon, man. We don't have to blow cooldowns. We don't have to like do anything. We just show up.
We used to do that in our blue/green gear or quest blues or whatever. Now, obviously, we don't anymore, right? But
yeah, well, the same thing happened between Wrath and Kata dungeons. I mean, people were so, I'm a Wrath baby, sorry. But, you know, I remember pulling Utgard Pinnacle or whatever, or Utgard Keep, whatever, in like 10 minutes or something and be done with the thing because you just blow through it all. And now we're doing the same thing with the current dungeons. It's going to feel that way once we get into these Draenor dungeons and go, oh man, I actually need to heal and pause. And, oh man, what is this?
Life is hard.
Life is hard.
Maybe they're gonna start weeding out the old World of Warcraft players.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Like, hey, we're gonna come full circle here, revert back to classic, and make shit hard again.
Yeah, right.
Now, what they have been doing to make things a little easier, and I really like this, so I want to highlight this, is if you open up the dungeon journal, they actually, for many of the guides, many of the bosses and many of the dungeons have this, but they are starting to highlight, as a damage dealer, you do this, pay attention to this, interrupt this for this particular boss. So like, it's just going to be a real easy way for people to learn their role specific stuff for a boss fight if you're sitting there wiping for, 45 minutes, as you said. It's not everything. It's not going to teach them how to play their character, but it's a little. It'll help.
That's good. Well, I know that Blizzard's they're trying to take active steps to try to keep you immersed in the game the whole time. Like, they don't like the fact that you're going to third-party sites to look at strategies, to look at rotations, to figure out the mechanics of your character. Like, they're trying to do that right from the game itself. So that doesn't surprise me that Blizzard would do something like that. And I'm actually kind of surprised they haven't done more, simply because it's just Blizzard's way. They want to, the longer they can keep you in that game, the longer they have your attention, the more hooked you are. So it almost like, I'm surprised Blizzard didn't come up with their own style of DBM and basically be like, interrupt, run away. It makes sense in a way, but I mean, they all know that we use DBM. You have to use DBM, and they actually design encounters now around such add-ons. So it's interesting. But I'm surprised they hadn't do something like that themselves by now. Because they've done everything else. I mean, look at Bagnon and look at all these other add-ons that we use to help us get through these types of things in the dungeons and in raids, and now they're adding them as part of the custom or part of the standard UI. So
yeah. Well, even last in Mist, they gave what are those sort of class summaries? So when you pick a spec, it tells you, hey, use like Black Arrow on cooldown, explosive shot is a big thing that hits. Make sure you're hitting that as much as you can.
Yeah.
And explained a little bit of their class mechanics, just even right in the UI of your spells and such. So they want that basic stuff there.
Which is really ironic that now they're doing this stuff and just in time for them to get rid of the button bloat.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
it's a good time to cut down all spells.
Hello.
And then also, like, one of the previous patches in this expansion, they introduced Proving Grounds, which is another great way for people to learn how to kind of get used to their class and their spec and figure all the different skills and
watch
combat.
and laugh people fail.
Well, yeah.
That was the best. Suck.
There is a thing, though. One of the guys on the stream is asking about Proving Grounds and having it as a sort of a barrier to entry unless you've completed a certain medal.
Mm-hmm.
I think that only applies to raids. I'm not sure about the other stuff just yet. At the time I ran it with the pre-made group, and we just kind of zoned in manually, so there was no barrier. There was nothing restricting us from accessing the dungeons.
There is there's let's see, you need to get a silver
Silver.
medal
I
in
think it's silver.
proving grounds in order to queue up for heroic dungeons.
Right.
That's
Heroic
the
dungeons.
strict-
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, not normals. You can do
Yeah.
whatever in normals, but
Yeah,
yeah.
that's right. Yeah.
So the heroic stuff isn't available for testing just yet. But I think the alternative to that, though, is if you don't have that medal, you can still walk in with your friends or whatever and still attempt it that way.
Yep.
So
Yep.
there's more than one way to get in there.
Yeah.
Totally.
But you need friends.
Yeah, you need to have friends.
Good thing Blizzard has this handy dandy thing called Refer a Friend. Plug, shameless plug.
Indeed.
Anything else you guys want to add onto the dungeon discussion?
No, it's just normals this week. We're anticipating a patch coming out sometime this week. I believe they're going to open up some more dungeons and or opening up the heroic versions for
Yes.
testing. So definitely check those out when they come in, and we'll report on that in the future.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to get into those heroics at least. You know those things are going to be tuned all wacky.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, wacky. All right, cool. Well,
Yep.
there you go. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight on the dungeons, and no, it was actually a lot of information for me, and that's kind of sad
Yeah.
because I'm the host of this friggin' thing.
Yeah, you're
But
behind here.
it's the way it works sometimes, you know. Hey, you know, you got to do life. Life happens sometimes, and Blizzard's connection to with me in the game sometimes does not want to jive. That way, I go play Heroes of the Storm. So either way, they got me. Doesn't really matter. So shoutouts real quick. Matt, if you want to kick it off, anything you want to if you're still recruiting, you're still looking for people.
Oh, I'm totally still recruiting. I've got like a third of my raid out this week just on holidays and all that stuff. So I'm definitely recruiting for now in Warlords. So if you guys are looking for a heroic progression, a mythic progression guild, on the West Coast, look me up. We'll be happy to give you any details. You can find my blog at worldofmaticus.com. I don't update it as much, but I still update it when I can. And you can find me on Twitter at Maticus, right below my little
His
thing
face.
there. Yeah, my face.
There you go. Literally. So, Will, any shoutouts? Anything you want to do? Let's say.
Yeah, I mean, thanks to Fetsy for joining. Fetsy was actually one of the guys from Tank Spot who I ran those dungeons with, so, you know, thank
Cool.
Fetsy for stopping by
Awesome.
and commenting. Apparently, he says Ubers hates Melee, which he was
Might be
quite
true.
strident.
Yeah.
It was pretty rough for Melee. But, yeah, I mean, my Twitter's below, obviously. Follow me there, and I also do a weekly vidcast kind of thing called Overrated, so where I have many more cats in the background and do some fun stuff and talk about same kind of stuff, Warlords and everything else. So yeah, thanks guys for having me too as well. Appreciate this.
Absolutely.
It's awesome.
Well, it's a pleasure having you guys. You know my thing. Podcast runs Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific. And other than that, that's it, man. I'm working. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be a new house, new setup. I'm going to start getting some stuff. It's going to be great. And, oh, by the way, BlizzCon. It's coming around the corner. 5 months.
Yeah.
BlizzCon. Every day, man, I got to stare at this poster, so it's like the worst thing in my life. It's like the agonizing pain of the wait. But guess who won't be there? Rob Pardo. Anyways,
So
until next week, guys, thank you so much for stopping by. We always appreciate it. We are out. We'll see you next week. Peace.